Are you thinking about going abroad for either your master's or your PhD? This is the exact classroom where I took my very first university class at the University of British Columbia. This is where I sat every single class, right in the front row, where I can see the professor, where I can interact, where I can raise my hand and ask questions. I studied biochemistry here at UBC. And at the time, I chose biochemistry because all my friends were doing it. After second year, we were required to choose our major, and all my friends did it, and so I just went along. So I went into biochemistry, and in my senior year, my fourth year, was when I had this opportunity to work in a laboratory where I was doing research, and I was basically working alongside other PhD students, and I had an opportunity to write an undergrad dissertation. And it was my first foray into research, into biomedical research, and into writing and analyzing data, into using microscopes and really seeing research, cutting-edge research. It was at that moment where I had my first exposure also into neuroscience, and it really seeded my interest in the field. So I wanted to pursue my master's degree, and that was when I started to look into opportunities to go abroad and study my master's degree. And in my research, Edinburgh started to pop up, as something that I would be deeply interested in. And keep in mind, back then, I was 21, 22, and I really had no experience going abroad. I had no experience going that far, I should say, on my own. And I knew nobody in the UK. I'd never been there before, no friends, no family, no connections. But I did know one thing, was that university, Edinburgh University, was where I had ended up going, but that university had a really strong reputation for neuroscience. Going abroad, choosing to go abroad and going to Edinburgh was one of the most important decisions I was going to make at the time for my career. And one thing that it did for me, that is going abroad, one thing that it did for me was it really strengthened my own resolve for my career. Because when I got there, it was a completely different environment, and I was completely outside of my comfort zone. As an Asian student, going in a predominantly non-Asian, predominantly Caucasian culture, I was really outside of my comfort zone there on the social level, but also on the intellectual level. The way they do things abroad is very different from what I was exposed to during my undergrad, during my lab research experience here as well. And that exposure, that extra learning curve to do things differently, really put really strengthened my resolve in my career. And it really demonstrated that I'm willing to take risks, that I'm willing to go outside of my comfort zone. And so when I got back, it was an opportunity that I could bring back with me the new learnings from international connections that I made abroad, new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking, and new ways of communicating with each other, and their definition of productivity was very different as well. So I brought back everything I learned with me. So the second thing that studying abroad did for me in my career was that it really broadened my perspectives on business and education. As I mentioned before, being abroad, the way universities run is very different from your home country, right? And they have different, of course they have different expectations, they have different curricula, the requirements are different for graduation and for final defense and for the way exams are delivered as well. So the focus on education is very different. The values on education is different as well. And that perspective, that broadened perspective, really allowed me to push myself and to really bring out my fullest potential. Doing my master's degree abroad also really broadened my network. I was able to build connections in a new country and build relationships that later served as long-term international collaborations. And having these global connections has served me very well in terms of my academic reputation. Although I'm not in academia anymore, but now with social media and social media for academics, it really shows you who you're connected to, who you've published with. And I found that within 3 degrees of separation, my long-term connections abroad were connected to later on when I went to do my PhD. They were connected, especially because I stayed in the same field of neuroscience. So another thing that studying abroad really helped me in my career was that it really helped me to boost my morale and my work ethic. Because as an international student, I go there outside of my comfort zone, and there's actually a steeper learning curve in some ways because you're learning a new culture, you're adapting to a new environment, and you're being resourceful. You know, when I went to Edinburgh, at that time, the Canadian dollar to UK dollar was 2.4. So I had to be resourceful to come up with funds to support my own education, my tuition, and my living costs as well. So all of that combined, you know, all the newness of it, the learning curve of it, and just trying to fit in and make connections in a new culture where you don't know what the social norms are, it really helped to build my work ethic and to be stronger in my resolve for my own career and my own personal development. Most importantly, my decision to go abroad to do my master's degree really helped me to develop mature decision-making skills. I mean, first it was the deciding on where to live, where to go to school, what geographic location, and of course, within that geographic location, I'm choosing which school, which department do I want to be a part of, which supervisor is best for me, that aligns with my values, what type of project do I want to be working on, what aspect of neuroscience am I interested in. So all of these decisions are really important because it is time, money, energy that I'm putting into for the next year, and it really helped me to be more mature and more decisive and committed in my decision making. And on top of all that, of course, it is the satisfaction of knowing that I did all of that successfully and on my own. Comment below. Are you studying abroad? Are you thinking about studying abroad? Is it for your master's degree? Comment below, where are you considering studying? Any questions you have of studying abroad, put in the comments below. I look forward to that, and maybe I'll answer your question in my next video. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Below there is a bell. Hit the subscribe button so that you can get the latest updates on all my upcoming videos. Remember to subscribe now.